Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Golf and Politics. I'm thrilled to be here with some of my best friends tonight. Rob, we had the pleasure of getting introduced more intimately to your team, the Democrat team, a few weeks ago. We're going to be releasing that episode, and now we are getting introduced to my team tonight. We're going to sit around and have some cocktails, and I'm going to pour myself some unnamed whiskey because we don't have a sponsor yet. So this is a call for liquor companies out there. We're for sale. You want to sell some good whiskey on our program, reach out to us, and we'd love to have you as a sponsor. So we're going to enjoy some drinks tonight and get to know everybody. But I want to start first by introducing somebody. Well, Rob, let me have you just open up with some words about your team and then what you think about the team we have here before we start getting introduced to everybody.
I'm just excited to get to Nebraska. I've met, I think, at least 5 of your guys. I obviously know Bob Kyle very well from the DC area and our Ireland trip and several MG Cups. So I think our call a couple weeks ago with the Democratic team was a lot of fun. I'm ready for tonight. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say, but most importantly, I'm really excited for our trip to Grable out in the Sandhills. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And, I mean this in all sincerity. I know there'll be a lot of jawing back and forth and a lot of trash talk tonight, but realistically, we really want this to be a great event and kind of groundbreaking. There's not a lot of events right now where Republicans and Democrats are coming together. We have tons of disagreements. We don't agree about who we should have voted for president. We don't agree on the policies coming out of the White House. I'm sure we agree. You don't, and that's fine. We're still going to get together and play golf and have a good time and have forge some friendships that hopefully will last a lifetime. But my first introduction tonight is somebody that's not even on the team. He is on the team though. He's not playing on the team, but he is on the team. That's Keegan Bryan, co-founder of FlexPoint Media. And the reason that Captain Keegan is here tonight, he has agreed to be our named platinum sponsor. So this is the FlexPoint Media G&P Cup. Thank you, Keegan, for stepping up, because without sponsors like you, this event would not happen to the quality and level that it's going to happen. Keegan very well could have been on this team, but I had literally invited him on a member guest. And then the next week I was inviting the group here, and, it was hard to pick 7 people. And Keegan's a great golfer, a very solid 4 handicap. He had to put up with me as an anchor, as a partner at the Hidden Creek member guest. But we were very fortunate that the winners of our flight won the whole shootout. So we ended up winning money anyway. So it was all good. But Keegan, thank you for sponsoring this event. And, why did you choose to get involved and help sponsor this?
I guess, it was one of those things where I really wanted a spot on the team. So I thought if I bought my way on, I could maybe get an alternate role. So no, I'm really encouraged. I appreciate what you guys are doing. And I think what Rob and you guys have done here in the podcast has been phenomenal. And just cool being a part of it. So hopefully participant in the future, but supporter now.
And Keegan's been a guest on the podcast, has a lot of great insight. His shop is one of the biggest media buying firms on the Republican side. And so, my goal is to get you more and more Republican listeners to our podcast so that you guys can sell some media buying at your shop and get to work with you on some of the campaigns that I'm involved in. And you guys just do a phenomenal job. And so we're really thankful for FlexPoint Media, thankful for you. And let's go ahead and just make a pitch now. I know we haven't even had the first G&P Cup, but I'm already making a pitch that we go to a full 12 team or 12-man team in 2026 because it was too hard to just pick 7 guys. But Keegan, thanks again for being a part of this. I got to introduce my vice captain next, Casey Lang. Casey is a .8 handicap. He is one of my best friends. We played college golf together. We've been friends for 25 years. It's hard to believe. It's now, things are coming full circle. One of the guys we played college golf with, his son plays on the golf team at Marietta College where we played. And he's an intern for Casey at his firm, Lang Financial. Also a great sponsor of the program, Lang Financial. If you haven't received your copy of the Golf and Politics Year in Review sponsored by Lang Financial, reach out to us. We'll get you a copy. But Casey, I couldn't have this team without you. You were the first call I made, and thanks for bailing me out a little last week, helping me with my golf game a little bit when I was in the depths of despair. But what do you look forward to most about this match in Nebraska?
Well, the good news is your game's out of despair. So I feel pretty good about that. But I don't know. I just look forward to building relationships with everybody. I look forward to getting out, playing golf at a great golf course. Spending time with everybody, and then really just kicking the Democrats' asses. I mean, let's be honest. I'm looking forward to that. So, I've played golf with Rob enough to know that I know he'll be ready to go. And I know he'll have his team ready to go, and Matt's going to do the same thing, and we're going to work hard on, figuring out the pairings, and we've already spent a lot of time, thinking through that. But I think we'll be ready to go. I think we've got a good strategy built, and I look forward to, seeing what we can make happen and listen to Rob whine a little bit more. We don't hear him whine enough with everything that's happened here. So we just, I just really look forward to, really hearing him whine when we're drinking, having a drink out of the G&P Cup at the end of the day. So no, I appreciate you, Matt, Rob, and I know we're gonna have a good time.
Casey, I've said on the show many, many times that one of the great things about the game of golf in politics is that when you spend a lot of time with somebody and you get to know them personally, it's harder to go on TV and call them a fascist or a communist. But don't worry, I'm delighted and happy to name call tonight. The title I have for you, Casey, is actually therapist, because you're going to need to be Matt's therapist for 18 holes and keep him from just a complete and total mental
Well, I
breakdown
don't know
out
though,
there.
Rob. I think he can beat your ass without the therapy. So I'm feeling pretty good about where he's at. He's hitting a tight draw about 350 right down the middle right now. So as long as he keeps that up, I feel pretty good about it. I hope I don't have
Hey,
to do a whole lot of therapy.
as long as he stops laying the sod over the lob wedge on the second shot, then I'll be really, really worried. No, I appreciate the bulletin board material. I'm gonna hang it on my ceiling above my bed and look at it for the next week. But no, I'll tell you what, I am not a shit talker when it comes to golf. I think I've just seen too many things go sideways when predicting golf excellence. But I will say this, I've consistently rooted for Matt and the Parker Improvement Project. I think he's got, the potential to get to scratch or better. Um, he's just got to stay in it for 18 holes and make sure the wheels don't pop off. But no, I love the way he hits the driver. He's got great distance, and hopefully he brings it to Grable. I want him at his best.
Well,
I don't want this to be over quickly. I want it to come down to the final couple holes, see what he's made of.
we are recording this on July the 21st. Early this morning, we recorded part 2 of the Parker Improvement Project, where I stated there hasn't been a lot of improvement during the Parker Improvement Project, but there is some bright spots. Casey was a bright spot. I do think I'm figuring some things out with the driver, and if I do, I think I'll be fine. But like Rob, I don't shit talk on the golf course either, because as Keegan can attest, my wheels were off for the entire member guest at Hidden Creek. I don't think I broke 40 once in any of the matches. So, Casey, here's one pairing we know for sure. When it comes to singles on Tuesday, I'm playing Rob straight up, because I opened my mouth and took his bait and agreed to do that. And then Casey's playing Nick, and so the 4 of us will be the first group out
Yeah.
on Tuesday morning. We know that for sure. Nothing else
Are
is
you
set in
playing
stone.
Nick? Are you
Not
playing
agree
Nick
to the
straight up?
No.
No, I look. I mean, I'll be honest.
Nope.
Let me just be real honest about Nick Kirsch here for our entire listening and viewing audience, and for everybody on this call. Nick Kirsch is another level of golfer. Let's just admit that. I mean, the dude shot 68 with me, bogey free, at Quicksilver Golf Club, and then 2 days later ties the course record at Steubenville Country Club with a 63. I mean, there's a reason that Nick was on a trajectory to make it on the tour at one stage in his life, and none of us were. So, yeah, Nick is playing some serious golf right now, and he worries me. I mean, he's a problem. So we'll just. I think it would be really tough to play him straight up.
I bet you know what, but Casey's a real man, and I think real men.
Here we go. Here we go.
Real men
Yeah.
don't want handouts. They
One of
don't
my
want handouts.
One of my favorite Rob views. The only non-Republican thinking that he has here. No strokes. I think that strokes are being given why would we,
Hey,
you guys are
system
close
works.
enough, so I think we got to have strokes.
All right, moving on. I'm just going to follow along on my screen. Anthony Moore, State Representative Anthony Moore. He's in leadership in the Republican caucus here in Oklahoma. He's a client of Camp, my firm. One of my favorite people, a great golfer who, frankly, Anthony, I might need you to get on a flight to Columbus, Ohio, and go down to Waterford and go to the Lang practice facility and maybe get a little work down there, because Anthony's going through it right now. This is the highest I've ever seen your handicap, Anthony. You're at what I'm looking at, 6.6 right now, which, doesn't bother me because I know what you're capable of. But I know you're going through the despair that I've been going through. So tell me a little bit about where your golf game's at and what you're working on and how you're going to be ready for Nebraska.
Well, I think you just kind of pointed out where my golf game's at. It's been really frustrating. I played a lot the last week, but really and truthfully, from February to June, I played outside of our little Tucson trip that we do every year. I played 9 holes of golf outside of one weekend, and it's kind of frustrating because I haven't been a 6 handicap since a sophomore in high school, probably. So really not fun. But it all comes in stride, and as Matt knows, all I've got to do is get that Ping Zing 2 putter going, and you're all in trouble. And so I'll rely on the flat stick to hopefully help me out and catch up. But I'm actually gonna have the second lesson in my life. In the last 25 years, I'm gonna go get somebody to look at it and just give me some kind of positive swing thought, because I know that it's not far. I'm hitting the middle of the club. It's just not going where it's supposed to. So it'll come together. And the best part about it, because Rob and I absolutely agree a year ago when we were at Oak Tree talking about strokes is just a Marxist regime. And now that if I play Rob, he's got to give me like 8. I think it's such a bad idea. I think that
I'm not
sounds
giving
lovely.
you shit. I'm not giving you shit. And here's the thing. I'm never worried about the 4 handicapper who just got down there from 10. I'm not worried about that because that person's not used to shooting low under pressure. I'm worried about a 2 handicapper who's now a 7 or 6 or whatever it is, because that guy knows how to shoot close to par under pressure, can par or birdie any hole, and is getting 6 or 7, or for me, 8 pops. So, yeah, that worries me. I'm not buying into your "oh woe is me" story. I think it's bullshit.
Well, I mean,
I
it's
don't know.
been
Let me read
terrible.
you his scores lately.
Yeah, they're great.
89, 90, 88, 84, 84, 91, 85, 42, 84.
One of the courses about 25 minutes away from us does a big 4th of July firecracker. I don't know if you guys have ever played in that style, but you can take a mulligan on any shot. But if you take the mulligan, you have to play it. So it makes you contemplate, well, that's not so bad. I can get up and down from there with, an extra chip if I need to or whatever. So I shoot 9 under, win the second flight in 4 shots from best in the tournament, and had 6 true birdies with no mulligans. And then the next day come to my home course that is way easier than that course and throw out an 84. And so it's just, it's all between my ears, and I got to get right there, which is weird because that's usually the only strong suit of my game. Is my game may be terrible, but I think that I'm really good, and I'm in the exact opposite spot right now.
It's going to get turned around. And let me tell you.
I like the name Firecracker. I think your team should be named the Firecrackers.
Let me tell you about Anthony, though. When we were in Tucson, and he did get hot with that ping zing putter. He had a few club specials, and his swing lubrication was in very good working order. And he fired off like 6 birdies out of 9 holes. I mean, it was
Went out in
unbelievable. He's just
31.
making went out in
Yeah.
31, made everything he looked at. Me and my partner, we stayed calm. We were down. We lost the front big, and we just kept battling back. Anthony started making some bogeys. I started
Yeah.
making some pars and birdies.
Yep.
And his 6 handicap partner proceeded to shoot 55 on 9 holes. And
Woof.
Anthony was a little hot under the collar about not having a partner to help him at all. And my 18 handicap partner made a gross birdie with a pop, and he about lost his mind. So I'm glad you've changed your mindset on strokes, because we need him in this match.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting those pops from Rob in Nebraska. And every time I make a birdie net eagle, I'm just gonna smile, wink at him.
Yeah.
I think, Matt, I think the course, I've not played Grable, but it looks awesome. I think it's going to be perfect for match play and firm and fast and a lot of fun. It looks like there's a lot of room, big fairways, big greens. So it should be, I think
Yeah.
it should be pretty fun for everybody. It's not super tight at all.
It looks like just a perfect links golf course in the middle
I
of the
plan on using
the
all
middle
of
of
it.
the country.
I need it all the way I hit the driver this week. So
Hey, if you guys haven't seen it, I mean, there's some incredible YouTube videos out there going through the course, drone footage, guys playing the course, giving advice on how to play it. So there's plenty to study beforehand. All right, moving on. The greatest name in politics, Jefferson Thomas. As much as I get asked about my calves, Jefferson gets asked about his name everywhere we go. It's hilarious. They say something to be about my calves and something to Jefferson. Did your parents really know that they named you Jefferson Thomas? No, he's got a good comeback for him. So Jefferson, welcome to the team. Jefferson has been playing, I think, really solid golf. This is a guy that's committed to his equipment. Let me tell you, he has gone through every club fitting you can imagine. He's decked out his bag. He's got multiple options, but whatever Ross McDonald Tour Quality has done with his new QI35 driver is nothing short of amazing, because he just winds up and smacks that thing 295 to 315 right down the middle quite often. Still has a few things he's trying to shore up in his game, but when I first met you, Jefferson, I think you were double-digit handicap, and now you're a really solid 6 to 7 handicap. So welcome to the team, and what do you look forward to the most?
Thank you, Captain. Yeah, when we first played, I think I looked back on it today, I was a 13.2 handicap. So, we've been moving things in the right direction. I do kind of miss the days where I got to pop a hole, including the par threes. But I'm glad to be playing some solid golf. So, and what do I look forward to? You know, my business and what we do is beat Democrats in elections, and so I look forward to beating some Democrats on the golf course too. And so
Is that tough to
it's gonna be
do?
great
Is
to,
that tough to do in Oklahoma, or is it?
luckily we don't do much work in Oklahoma, but let me rattle them off: North Carolina, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona. What other battlegrounds? I mean, I think it was 7 for 7 in 2024. I don't know. I'd have to go check the math though.
Yeah, we're fortunate not to have any Democrats in Oklahoma,
Yeah.
so we just
Yeah,
fight ourselves. We just fight ourselves.
0 blue counties in the whole state. For those that don't know, 0. All 77 voted for the rightful leader of the republic.
all 3 times.
All 3 times. If you want to find a Democrat, you got to drive about 3.5 hours south down to Dallas. That's about the nearest one.
No, I
but
only
no,
I only go to the golf courses in Oklahoma. I don't go anywhere else. So
Well, even
I'm fine.
Dallas, that mayor, he changed. He's a Republican now.
Oh, we might make it all the way to Austin by the time 2028 comes around then. I look forward to getting to Nebraska, Western Nebraska. I used to live before I moved to Oklahoma in northeastern Colorado, and so we'd frequently take golf trips out to eastern Colorado, western Nebraska, and it's beautiful land and great golf courses, and so the friendship and the ribbings that we'll give each other are going to be great, and look forward to playing some great golf. So
Our next teammate, the Honorable Burt Matthew George. I've known Judge George since 2002. We were White House interns together for George W. Bush. Matt's so conservative. He thought George W. Bush was a liberal back then. I think he still does think that. But no, he's the municipal court judge in Licking County, up for re-election this year. And but he's, it's Licking County, Ohio, and he's running against a Democrat. So he can take a couple days off to play golf before the real campaign heats up post Labor Day. Matt is a great golfer. We played outside of Casey. I don't know if I've played golf with somebody more than Matt George. We were members of the same club in Ohio. Just my kids call him Uncle Bert, and nobody calls him Bert except I think my kids. But he is a wonderful human being. He's a great judge. And what I love about his golf game is that he does not make big numbers. I mean, this is a guy that just finds a way to get it around. I don't think I've ever seen him higher than a 3 handicap the whole time I've ever known him. He's usually around a scratch to a 1. He actually got down. He really figured out how to play Mound Builders Country Club. And did you win the club championship last year or come in second?
I lost the final 2 years in a row.
Lost the final 2 years in a row.
So
he knew how to play.
Last year I should have won. The first year I had no business being there. Last year I should have won,
but
I'm glad went down to the 36th hole.
Yeah, I'm glad he's not a +2 anymore. I think he's a 1. But
I was not really a +2, but
yeah, like I said, you knew how to play your home course really well.
I rattled off last summer a good run off at my home course, but the course was rated a little more difficult than it was. So
yeah, I agree with that. Well, yeah. Tell me, Matt, what are you looking forward to most about the Sandhills of Nebraska?
I'm looking forward to just getting to play some golf. 4 or 5 days in a row is going to be great. I haven't played much golf this year. My campaign manager back in 2019 wouldn't have let me, but Matt was my campaign manager in 2019.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to care this time. So that's the big thing. I was, I haven't found anything yet. I haven't hit many golf balls, so I'm hoping that just getting to hit some golf balls will get my swing back in order, get some reps in, and get to be playing somewhere close to how I was playing at the end of summer last year. Didn't touch a club all winter and regretting that now, but that's the main thing. I also just excited about the format. I used to play. I have some politics and golf together here too. I used to play in a Ryder Cup format with 12 attorneys from Ohio against 12 attorneys from Michigan. We had a good run of 6 or 8 years of that tournament. It was named the Macy Cup, short for the governor of Michigan at the time of the Toledo border war. His name was Mason. His last name was Mason, and or any of you know anything about that? Ohio lost that war because we got Toledo and they got the Upper Peninsula. But no offense to my friends in Toledo. So I'm looking forward to it. I haven't done that. I think we ended that sometime around 2012, 2013. It went defunct. So I'm looking forward to another event like that. It was a blast. I'm looking forward to doing that.
With the format of that, did you guys do alternate shot and
we did,
best ball just like we're doing? So,
yeah. And it was. We had more higher handicappers than I think we're going to have this time around. So it was difficult for that reason. And with lower handicappers, it's really fun, I think. But you're getting up near double digits. It's a tough format.
That's why we should play no strokes.
Yeah, that rubs both ways. That rubs both ways, Rob. Because I mean, you got some guys that are 14 handicap on your team. So if we want to match them up with Jefferson, I'll take that all day long.
And
I'll just put them on the same team and seed you 1 point a match.
It's a hard format to handicap. And I know there's a formula, but I don't know. I really don't know how effective it is. But match play in general is hard when you're given a stroke because it's not like stroke play where you can make it up necessarily.
Matt, why do you never introduce me as a former George W. Bush employee? I'm part of the alumni. Are you ashamed of me? What's going on here?
No, I'm not ashamed. I mean, I'm just introducing him. I'm not introducing you. Our audience knows you. I'm just introducing
you got your cute little MAGA hat on.
Yeah,
it's like your own little pride parade.
That's right.
Well, W is not going to be caught in a MAGA hat.
No, that's for sure.
No, he's actually a Republican.
Well, I was going to ask earlier when you said you were going to put that on the ceiling above your bed, take down like the Biden and Obama posters in order to put that quote
Yeah.
up there, or you're just going to put it over the top of them?
Yeah.
You know, it's time for my spank bank to mature and move on, you know?
All right, so we have two guys that could not join us tonight. Drew Ryan from Aledo, Texas. Drew's a great player, just a great athlete. He ran track at Kansas, one of the best ping pong players you've ever met, plays tennis really well. In fact, I think the reason he's missing this tonight is because he's got like a whole bunch of people at his house playing pickleball or something. So Drew's the kind of guy that he won't make a lot of birdies, but he sure is not going to make a lot of bogeys and stupid mistakes, and he's never going to hit out of bounds. So happy to have Drew on the team. He will grind. And then PJ Wenzel, my former business partner, was not able to join us tonight. PJ is a very solid 5. He's been as low as a 3 in his life, 2 or 3. Just a great guy. We'll have a lot of fun. But I wanted to save my last guy for a reason. Every teammate that I have, every person we picked for this team has a political angle or a business angle. Casey is not only one of my best friends, he's my financial planner. Matt is a great friend and a client. Anthony's a great friend and a client. Jefferson is a colleague, and we do a lot of work together. Keegan and I work together a lot. Bob Kyle was not involved in politics. In fact, I didn't realize that Bob Kyle was a hardcore Trump guy until the inauguration this year. And I spent time with him in Ireland. He just kind of kept his politics to himself. But it turns out Bob had this inauguration party, and he was all in for Trump. And I had to have Bob on the team. Bob invited me on this trip to Stream Song earlier this year, and we had just the most amazing time. If you look back at our time in Ireland, I think we can all agree, Rob and Casey were on that trip. Bob Kyle elevated that trip. There was no doubt about it. That trip was better because Bob Kyle was on it. And I'm convinced that the G&P Cup is going to be better because Bob Kyle's on it. And beyond that, the dude is a grinder. I mean, he hits more balls than any of us. He's been working on his game. I look at his handicap index on the GIN app, and it's just 78, 76, 74, 78, 77. He is just consistent as can be. And he's going to be a tough out in match play, especially as a 5 handicap. Bob Kyle, welcome to the team. What are you looking most forward to about Nebraska?
Yeah, thanks, Matt, for the kind words. And I'm so thrilled to be, invited to play in this event. I was obviously met most of you guys on the Ireland trip, and I was kind of the outlier out there. And I'm new to golf. I've retired just 4 years ago, and yeah, like you said, I'm a grinder. I'm going after golf. So as you said, I probably hit more balls than anyone, probably maybe even combined on this team. So my goal is to get the scratch, and I got some other goals in golf as well. But what I'm really looking forward to is spending time with everyone. The Ireland trip was amazing. The playing with Rob and his partner Brad in the MG Cups over the last 2 seasons has just been just the highlight of the fall for me. And that trip to Ireland last year was a highlight. I know a few of us. I took us to Florida in the spring, and that was great. And I'm really looking forward to this trip to meet some new friends. Have some good times. There's a lot of Democrats on the other side that actually I love spending time with. So it's going to be interesting. And as everyone knows, I thought I kept my political affiliations, on the DL, but you did probably see some of those pictures at the inauguration. And those are some pretty wild ones as well. And I'm just looking forward to, really making some friendships, having a great time, playing some great golf, and, really just having a great time out there and meeting you guys. These are some fresh faces here. But Casey, I know we're going to have a good time out there. Nick is an amazing golfer. I was like just seeing him and playing with Casey a few times, and Rob. It's just, it's been good for me to get my golf game to the next level, and just looking forward to spending time with everyone.
That's great. I really do too. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. Bob is like, yeah, I'm a Republican and I'm strong in my beliefs and have opinions, but man, I love spending time with Rob Ellsworth. I love spending time with Brad Cheney. I love spending time with Nick. I don't care if people have different opinions than me. That's what's beautiful about our country, is that we should have different opinions and we can argue and fight, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't still go out and enjoy a round of golf and build solid relationships and friendships. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't even agree with my wife on every single issue when it comes to politics. So why should we expect that we're going to agree with somebody of a different political persuasion? So I hope that we can do that on this trip. Now, in the meantime, let's ask Rob some hard questions. Let's do a shotgun 9 with Rob. Let me tell you, the Democrats came after me. I thought it was going to be fun. Going to ask me some fun questions about golf. I figured there'd be a few political questions, and it was just nonstop. Do you think January 6th was a day of love? That was the first question right out of the gate, I think, that they asked me. So, Jefferson, I'm tapping you. First question for Rob Ellsworth in the Shotgun 9.
All right, Rob. My first question for you is I know it's the third rail of progressive politics and you'd rather not touch it, but do you really believe that boys like William Leah Thomas at birth should be allowed to compete against females like Riley Gaines? And how should I explain that to my 2-year-old daughter when inevitably she asks me that people she's competing with are built differently than her?
Well, I don't know who the person you're mentioning is, but I'm assuming it's just a general question about trans women competing in
William Leah
sports.
Thomas is the swimmer that the NCAA gave the tie-breaking trophy to, who was a man swimming in the women's finals against Riley Gaines.
Yes, I do. I think that transgender people are human beings. I think there are enough transgender people around the world that it's not some conspiracy. I don't think people go through the surgeries they go through, the therapy they go through, all sorts of problems for their own personal enjoyment and amusement or to win a swimming competition. I think that they live a really tough life and that Jesus would instruct all of us to love those who are going through it and going through a tough time. So, no, I don't belittle them, not for personal satisfaction, not for sports rooting, and not for any other purpose. As for your daughter, what you tell her is up to you. She's your daughter. What I would explain to my daughter is the truth and say that, whether somebody is transgender, gay, lesbian, whatever they are, that your job is not to judge them, your job is to love them. And I would encourage everybody to be at their peak as a human, as an athlete, to work as hard as they can. And you're going to inevitably run into somebody who's better than you. I understand it's a challenging issue. I understand that it's a winner politically for Republicans, just as going after Martin Luther King in the 1960s and telling the civil rights movement to slow down was a winner for Republicans, just as trying to ban gay marriage and enshrine it in the Constitution was a winner for George W. Bush in 2004. But what's a winner today may not be a winner tomorrow. And in my personal view, um, the position of the president, the campaign ads that he ran, while wildly effective, were wrong, morally, ethically wrong. And I would just close on your opening question by stating this. There are more pictures of Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, whatever her name is, than there are transgender swimmers or transgender athletes in the entire NCAA. There are 9 of those. And I personally choose to not slow the entire country to focus on one culture war issue, as we just added as you just added $4 trillion to the national debt.
All right, so let me ask a follow-up question. You genuinely believe that a biological male does not have a competitive advantage over a female when it comes to sports?
Maybe they do, but I also think that biological male is legally a woman under the law. They're legally a woman, and so you have to set multiple classifications then to do what you want to do.
Yeah, of course you should.
You have to
That's
say-
what we're saying. That's
if-
what
if
exactly
you
what we're
say-
saying.
If you say you are legally a woman, except for X, Y, and Z, then there are serious constitutional questions under the 14th Amendment and Equal Protection Clause. So that's how Prop 8 got overturned in California by the courts. It's because they said if you're a gay couple that got married before this decision, you're allowed to stay married. Then there was another classification. If you get divorced, you can't remarry. And then there was a third classification. If you've not been married yet, you cannot get married. It violated the due process and equal protection clauses, and you're creating different classifications. Look, I admit it is a tough issue. It is a tough issue. There's no doubt that some transgender athletes we're pointing to very few cases here. In Utah, the Republican governor vetoed the state legislature's discriminatory bill because he said he really looked into it. He looked to his faith and he looked to his heart. And across the entire state's history, there were only 4 cases where this even was relevant. 4. In West Virginia, a reporter asked Governor Justice why he was pushing a bill and if he knew how many cases there were in West Virginia. And the governor said directly in the camera, you can Google it.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
That
I don't know,
argument
but
doesn't.
no.
hold-
Let me finish.
Just real
Let me
quick.
finish.
You made
No,
this
no,
point.
no, no. Let me finish.
I just got to say one thing.
No. I got
All
10
right.
more seconds, Matt.
10 more seconds. Go ahead.
The governor said, I don't know how many cases there have been in West Virginia. And the reporter said, that's because there have been 0. 0. So what you're doing is causing more harm to the transgender community than anyone you're protecting or saving, because it's good politics. And I admit right now it's good politics. It's easy to piss on the transgender people because they're weird.
That's
And
not.
it's good politics.
We're talking about competitive advantage. We're talking about
Bullshit.
locker rooms.
Who
We're
won the
talking- no.
WNBA championship? Who won the WNBA championship last year or this year?
I don't know. I don't care.
You don't give a shit about women's sports. Nobody does.
I care about. I
guarantee
do. I do care about women's powerlifting when my daughter's competing in powerlifting. I care about women's golf. I watch that.
And on the
I just
off
don't happen to
chance
watch
that
the
she loses to
WNBA.
a transgender athlete, I'll tell you.
The bottom line is your
follow up.
argument.
Follow up here. The question is, I agree, Matt. I've got a doctorate in the law. We've got another guy with a doctorate in the law here. Equality and equal are 2 totally different things. And you're arguing that you've got a constitutional right to swim in the competition that you see fit. So by that definition, if Jefferson feels like he should tee off from the red tees in Nebraska, well, it just feels that way that day. And there's a big, listen, I totally agree with you that we all ought to, we are called to love no matter what. I mean, without a question. And I totally believe that. And you and I agree on that point. But there's a difference in saying that you have equal protection under the law to swim in a competition when you are clearly have a superior genetics. And you mentioned XYZ. It's just XY. You have XY. There's no Z. At least they haven't come up with that yet.
The only thing that's clear, I appreciate your point. The only thing that is clear is that it's not about an equal right granted to be a swimmer in the Constitution. But once you pass a law saying that they cannot, then you have made it a legal issue. You have made it a legal issue.
Unless you
when
create
you
a separate
pass a law
division that's allowed.
and sign.
If you
then all of
exclude
a
them from
sudden-
all, that's different.
I'm sorry, I missed that last point.
Well,
all I was saying was if you create a separate division, then it's allowed. I mean, it's the same reason that guys can't swim and girls sport. Like I can't go sign up to be a female golfer, which I'd get my butt kicked anyway. Let's be clear about
Because
that.
you're legally a man. You're legally a man. Under the law, you are a man. If you don't want
So
if
are
you don't
going
want
to
a
answer?
if you don't want a transgender person to be who they are, pass a law saying they can't, and then they have no protection on anything.
No,
Go ahead and pass that law. You
They
have
would
the
have
power to do
protection
that.
under their biological set. Like there's nobody. Nobody's advocating for the pure discrimination against them.
Yes, you are.
No,
Yes.
no, we're
Yes.
saying that they should not
Absolutely
have a
not.
competitive advantage in sports. But let's move on. Anthony, you want to ask the next question?
Yeah, so you kind of pointed out a little bit about what's going on with the current president. One of my questions my question is, it just came out that we've got new evidence that confirms what we've known for a long time, and that's Obama and his staff, including high advisors, helped perpetuate this hoax that Russia was somehow involved in stealing an election when Trump won the first time. So you've said it on the podcast before. I think I just pointed out you and I can find places where we agree, definitely. But how do you find this being okay with this cover up and this perpetuation from the highest office, not only in the country, but the world, perpetuating lies?
First and foremost, I'm not a member of a cult. So if there are any Democrats in elected office who broke the law, who did something wrong, they either deserve to lose their election or be prosecuted and thrown in jail. If anybody is proven, you control the Justice Department. I'm sure Pam Bondi has is just frothing at the mouth to prosecute people. Go ahead and prosecute them. I don't give a shit what you know whether they're Democrat or Republican or whatever else. If somebody did something illegal and you can prove it, go ahead and prosecute them. I do not believe in the politics of being a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I don't see the world through my team versus your team. There's plenty I disagree with Democrats on. So just because Donald Trump has been under investigation and been convicted and done terrible things, the defense for that is not, well, look at the Democrats. That's the argument of a 5-year-old. If the Democrats did something equally as bad, prosecute them. You run the DOJ. I haven't looked at the facts of it. I haven't seen much about the story. That's the honest to God truth. I've been working and playing golf. I have read the Mueller report. And what the Mueller report concluded is very different than what the former Attorney General Barr stated publicly. Very wisely, by the way. It was brilliant. Nothing to see here. Basically, the Mueller report, if you read it from beginning to end, shows countless connections between the president's senior campaign management team, from his chairman, Paul Manafort, who went to jail for those connections. I believe there were at least, I don't remember the exact number. It's been 8 years, but I believe there were at least 8 to 12 senior Trump officials who were either indicted or went to prison for their actions. Now, what Mueller concluded was that there were absolutely connections between the Kremlin and senior Trump managers. He did not establish a direct link with Trump himself, as any good mob boss would make sure they didn't. Um, but what he did say was that he did not have standing as the special prosecutor or the special counsel to prosecute a sitting president of the United States, and that it should be dealt with under the Constitution by the Congress. And the House impeached him, and the Senate did not convict him. So, in my mind, there was a connection. There is no doubt that the Russians interfered in our election. Does that mean they were tampering at the ballot box? No. But there's no doubt that, you know, the Russians were interfering in our media and within the campaign and social media, stoking division, doubts about democracy, stoking unrest. There's also no doubt in my mind that the United States gets involved in foreign campaigns. I think it's something that isn't really new, but I have no idea of any of the accusations against Barack Obama, um, that he broke any law. I don't, and if he did, I'm sure Pam Bondi and Cash Patel will file charges against his ass and investigate him, and he'll have his day in court if he broke any laws. I've not heard any allegations of any laws that he broke. Um, I don't know. That's what I think about it. I haven't thought about it too much more than that.
All right, who wants to go next?
I'll throw one out there.
All right, Bob.
All right.
All right. And it's so Rob, obviously I've only known you for a few years, and I'm not buttering you up, but you are probably the most generous person and nicest person I've met. You're a statesman for golf, and the clubs that you belong to. You're like an uncle to many, many folks out there. And as Rob just mentioned, and some of you guys might know this, you were once on the other side of the political party. And so my question to you, is twofold. So, one, would you ever consider switching political parties? And two, what would be the 2 or 3 things that would need to occur for you to make the switch?
Well, I appreciate the kind words. It's very nice. Um, Look, if I were to switch political parties today, the only driving force would be if the response to Trump is to go too far left, like bonkers left. I'm not a Bernie Sanders Democratic socialist. I think I'm more conservative than anybody on this phone when it comes to the federal budget. You guys have become Bernie Sanders with the protectionism. If I were to leave the Democratic Party, it would be to become an independent and throw my vote away. Um, because to me, I grew up a Republican with conservative parents in a conservative area, even though it voted Democratic,
Back then.
not when I was a kid. The politics in my home district haven't changed. Just the political affiliation. So I was a Republican. I was a mini Alex P. Keaton in high school and was mostly focused on economics. That's what I studied. And so for me, when I left the party, part of the reason was the anti-gay positions, government involvement in bedrooms, government dictating faith, which I think goes against faith. I think it's only bastardized religion in the eyes of more than half of Americans because when one political party takes claim to the Bible, takes claim to Jesus, takes claim to what's right or wrong, and at one level says government should be less involved in the affairs of your business, but more involved with who you love and what sports you play and what you do in your bedroom, I'm out. I don't want anything to do with it. Now, I stuck around a little bit longer than I should have. I was opposed to the Iraq War. I thought that was a mistake. Um, and frankly, when you're hanging on because you're a fiscal conservative in today's Republican Party, or even yesterday's Republican Party, there ain't much to hang on to because the basic policy is fiscal conservatism means go ahead and slash the taxes, increase the spending, Doge be damned, increase the spending, and borrow the $4 trillion gap from China. So, what is left for me to hang on to? And beyond that, with Trump, every single person on this call, at least the ones I've met, are decent human beings, are good people. And you struck a nerve on the first question, but I will say this. I don't think any of you would in person belittle or treat anybody less than or differently. Your president does. If that's what Republican means today, I'm out. But I will say if the Democratic Party swings too hard in reverse, if it starts providing absolutely bonkers conspiracy theories and goes full blown socialist, I'm out because I didn't sign up for that either. So I don't want to get to a scenario where I'm a man without a party. I'm a Democrat right now, largely out of necessity because it's the only way to put a check on what I view to be a reckless, irresponsible president. And so, to what extent I can be a moderating voice in my party, I will. I will say that's gotten tougher for moderates in either party over the last 25 years. So I guess to answer your question, I have no plans to become a Republican. If someday the Republican Party looks more like Mitt Romney than Donald Trump, you could get my vote against a far left liberal candidate. If it looks more like JD Vance and Donald Trump, hell no. Your best chance is me being an independent and throwing my vote away.
I think that I have just a completely different view of Donald Trump than you do. You say he's just this mean guy that belittles everyone. I think what's great about Donald Trump that he's refreshing in the sense that he speaks his mind. He's not afraid to say it. He's not afraid to get into the weeds and say exactly what might not be politically popular right then. Um, everybody that I know that knows him personally has such a different viewpoint of him than what you do, Rob, including Rich Levine when we sat with him at Mar-a-Lago and heard stories about Donald Trump and what he's actually like day to day when he's at the club or when he's playing golf with Rich or with other people. When I talked to Senator Mark Wayne Mullen about, the president calling him every week to check on his son and see how his son was doing. When I talked to my business partner, Stephanie Alexander, who worked for him on 2 campaigns, when Stephanie was being sexually harassed by somebody and Donald Trump came to her aid, she would run through a brick wall for that man. So I know a lot of people that know him personally. They have a much different viewpoint than what the public persona is. There's a reason he became the president, because Americans were sick and tired of buttoned up politicians that were just telling them what they thought they needed to hear. Trump speaks his mind, and if he needs to drop a F-bomb every now and again, I don't think he can get away with it, and other politicians can't, because he's actually real, authentic, and he's followed through on the promises that he made.
Rich Levine asked a question to me, and I've met the president several times, and he was nice to me. Look, he said, Rob, why is it that a lot of these people like Donald Trump when he was the host of Celebrity Apprentice, but as soon as he becomes president, they don't like him? And I said, because once you're the most powerful man in the world, what you do and say matters. And there's no doubt in my mind that there are people Donald Trump has helped. There's no doubt in my mind that there are redeeming qualities. We all know in politics that nobody is as great as their biggest supporters claim them to be, and nobody is as terrible as their political opposition says they are. But to me, I don't care what somebody says as much as what they've done. And I look at their record, and what they say does matter when you're president of the United States. When a group of people tries to kidnap and kill the governor of Michigan, and you joke about pardoning them and you laugh about it, you're giving implicit approval to the actual crazy people out there. And a president of the United States in either party, President Bush, President Reagan, would have stood up and said, this is wrong, this is terrible, we're going to prosecute these idiots. He wouldn't have pardoned them. He wouldn't have joked about it, So for me with Donald Trump, you've made your judgment that you're okay with that. It's part of the entertainment value. And the only way I can get myself in the psychology of Donald Trump is I grew up watching pro wrestling, and I love pro wrestling. He's like the guy that shakes hand with his tag team partner in the ring and then turns around and hits him over the head with the chair and takes his girlfriend. And there's a pop from the crowd. He loves the dopamine hit. He loves the pop from the crowd. He loves the shock value. And moderate Republicans and Democrats for years fought for it every single time. And it's a constant choice for us of, do we attack him on every single ridiculous thing every day, or do we let it go and laser focus in on one issue and stay on it? When we've been successful, it's when we've laser focused. But it's hard to do that when every single day there's a new ridiculous thing. And that's part of who he is. And the people around him have made it part of the strategy, is to flood the zone every day with absolute ridiculous bullshit, make the Democrats lose their shit while they're behind the scenes cooking up some really crazy shit. So I'll leave it with that. Good question.
Flooding the zone leads me to my question. Why are Democrats not standing up and applauding what President Trump is doing by deporting illegal immigrant criminals from this country and shutting down the flow of migrants across our southern border?
First and foremost, on the illegal traffic across the border, as you know, I spent 2 years working with President Bush and John McCain, 2 people I know those are dirty words on this show, working on an immigration solution that dealt with legal immigration and illegal immigration. So I'm familiar with the issue. And I've said on the show that one of the problems I see Democrats and Republicans doing is they get into office, and when you do everything by executive order, or with one party, the next president comes in and just tries to undo everything you did. You've seen it with Trump trying to undo Obamacare and
Wait a
everything.
second. Wait a second. We just
I'm getting
passed the one
I'm getting
big,
there.
beautiful bill. Okay, I just want to make sure you remember that's not by executive order that we have the increase
But it
funding
does,
for ICE agents.
but that's for funding for existing law. They didn't change any immigration law in that bill.
No,
They
no, you're right. They did not change immigration law.
So my point is, I thought it was a mistake for the Biden administration to undo every single Trump executive order when it came to border crossings. I think there's no doubt that that contributed to the spike in traffic at the border. There's no doubt about that. Um, I also think he reversed course, and the largest decrease of getting back to where things, when Biden left office, daily crossings were lower than when Trump left office in 2021. So we'd already been going back to where things were. So I provide criticism for Biden on that. Um, when it comes to, well, I think you were saying ICE attacking an ICE agent, there's no excuse for political violence. So one idiot shooting an ICE agent does not speak for the Democratic Party or for me any more than the person trying to kidnap and kill the governor of Michigan speaks for you. And we've got to get away from this Philadelphia Eagles fans approach to politics that is successful. Um, I always think that, even when I don't disagree with every single Trump policy, he always just amps it up to the next level where the solution is almost worse than the underlying problem. It's like everything he does has to be to the nth degree. And it may be good politics, but it's not necessarily good policy.
I just had a couple observations. So from the draft pod, I noticed that Rob is really taking some traits of our commander in chief when he was describing his team. He's like, this guy's huge, big ball, heavy ball, going on this whole rant about his team, like generational hairline. I mean, it's unbelievable. So I think he is picking up some traits of our commander in chief. He just doesn't want to admit it.
They got to watch the
But my
episode before
question would be,
me. What the
Rob, do you
hell's
have
this?
a
No. The one
Uh,
that was just me, you, Nick, and Casey skipped out on. Not
Hey,
not
if
the one
somebody
with the
has
whole
a heavy
team.
ball, they got a heavy ball.
But my question would be, Rob, in the spirit of taking mulligans, do you have a mulligan you would have taken, whether like personal life, business life, or golf in the past
Oh, of
2 years?
course. I mean, there are mulligans I would take every day. It's a rough and tumble business. It's a rough and tumble field. You don't choose to do a podcast with a MAGA hat wearing guy where the part of the show is to debate and to entertain. So yeah, there's no doubt. If I were to go over my life, not just politics, of things I've said or done in the heat of the moment that I would like to take back, of course, of course. But the only thing you can do in life and as an adult and as a friend or a loved one or a boyfriend is to admit when you do something that's beneath the standard you hold yourself and others to. And there's no doubt in my mind that I'd like to do that, but you can't. All you can do is say, you know what, Keegan, I'm sorry. That was beneath me. It was wrong. I'll try my best to do better and not do it again. That's something that I think would have endeared this president to a lot of moderates a long time ago. But when you take the Roy Cohn approach of all news is good news and never admit fault and always, don't give an inch, then you create a permanent adversarial situation. So there's no doubt that there are mulligans I would like to take, but I don't get to take mulligans. So all I can do is have it brought to my attention that I hurt somebody or did something wrong, and say I'm sorry and try to do better. And I wish more people would try to do that. We're not perfect. We never will be perfect, but we can always be better.
Rob, I appreciate that answer. I'll show this photo here. Pine Valley, first hole, no mulligans.
No mulligans. Yeah, there's no
No,
mulligans. in that.
and I have to just give Keegan credit. I mean, that is a nicer question asked of Rob than any of the questions that were asked. There was not one nice question asked of me by the Democratic team. It was just pummel every chance that they had, but it was still fun.
There were a couple fun questions.
Were there? I can't remember. I just remember the first
Well,
question,
we
out of the
we
gate
did
was
what
just,
we did want your honest opinion on whether or not the president had won 23 club championships fair and square. That's a fair question. That's not mean.
Casey, Judge, you guys have anything?
Yeah. Here I've got one. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. So, on the golf side of things, Rob, I respect your, all the golf that you've played, all the courses, all the rhetoric you guys do on golf. We've got one guy's trip to go. This group, we're going to go play. We're going to have a nice weekend, just like this coming up, trip we've got scheduled. Where are we going? Where's the spot?
It can be somewhere I've been or somewhere I've not been.
It can be anywhere.
Somewhere I've been.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Just what's guy's trip?
And money's no object.
No object.
Bob Kyle's paying. Okay.
Bob Kyle, it don't matter.
All right. So we're flying into Dublin. We're gonna play Portmarnock and County Louth, go up and do Royal Portrush, Ardglass, and County Down. Then, because I love the people of Ireland and the way they approach guests. Guests are family there, and they just go out of their way. And the only reason I would pick the eastern part of Ireland over the southwest is because after you play Royal County Down or Portrush, you get on a ferry, and we're going to go over to Western Scotland, and we're going to finish our trip in Scotland. And out of respect to this team, we're going to play Turnberry, Troon, and Prestwick. So that's 8 courses. And then we're going to make the drive over to play the Old Course. I really believe that there are only a handful of experiences in all of golf that everybody has to do. You may not get to play Augusta, but you got to go to the Masters. You got to feel that and at least see the place. You got to be on the first tee at St. Andrews when they announce you, and hit over the Old Course Hotel on 17 and come up the 18th hole with people videoing you finish on the 18th hole. So that trip you can do in one trip. You get to enjoy Dublin. You get a little bit of Northern Ireland, 2 of the best courses in the world. You take the ferry over to Western Scotland and you hit the Ayrshire region with Turnberry, Trin. And then you've got a little bit of a drive over and you finish in St. Andrews. You finish in the home of golf at the Old Course. And I take you down to my club, which is Crail, which is about 9 miles south of it. And you get an old Tom Morris, 18 holes out on the cliffs. So you play about 10 courses, 10 or 11 courses. You don't break the bank, and you get to see the very best of Ireland and Scotland. And I think that's the play.
I'm putting that on a list that this
Love it.
podcast, listen, guys, this podcast needs to take off. These are the kind of trips that the podcast needs to sponsor and bring people along on, just like some other golf entertainment that's out there that sponsor trips. We've been on some of those trips. There's no reason that this podcast, especially with the expertise we have with Rob, can't take those kind of trips. And I'm
Say
speaking,
when.
I'm not a big, manifest it kind of guy. That's not me. But I will tell you this, it's going down as a goal that in 2027, that's a trip that's going to happen. That's something that just has to happen for all of us. So,
And the thing is, too, we've said it on this podcast, and I know everyone on this podcast and everyone on my team, the obstacles are more time than money. But really, if you go do a week-long trip in Pinehurst or Bandon Dunes, you just spend a fortune. You go to Whistling Straits or Stream Song. Every time I leave those places, and they're great. They're great. I love them all.
Grable.
But every time I leave there, you know, I somehow have this $5,000 bill or $10,000 bill. And it's like, unless you're flying, you're buying the first class ticket to Ireland or England or Scotland and staying in the 5-star resorts, you know, listeners to our podcast, like, you can buy a ticket overseas if you do it well enough in advance for, a reasonable price. You can stay in a nice hotel for $150 a night, and you can play a lot of these courses for $80 to $200. The more expensive ones are the Old Course and Turnberry, because they can get away with it.
One
But,
thing,
if you plan, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that's a great answer. And one thing that the podcast has done and our Ireland trip has done, and you speaking about that, it's kind of like it's got me so excited to go on those types of trips. And it's been a fun ride. And Matt and I, kind of have a daily text going on, and it's all about that. Where are you playing? What's going on? What are we doing? So I think that's I'm in. Let's do it, boys. Let's do it. Let's keep them
Sign me
rolling.
up.
Let's go.
I'm
Let's keep checking them. Let's keep checking the box. I'm way
I'm in.
behind you, but it's inspired me to keep making it happen. So that's one of the biggest things the podcast has done for me. Some of the political debates are fun, but that's what it's all about.
They're never
Well,
as fun as golf.
Casey and I on the van in Ireland reached agreement on a lot of issues. And the thing about Casey's game and my game is they may not on the range be as impressive as some of the big hitters, but Casey, our games travel. They may be boring as fuck, but our games travel. They work in the sand dunes. That's true. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
they were homegrown in the MOV, and they travel.
How are you? Yeah. Thanks for
No
all your
doubt.
support too for the pod.
Absolutely.
That's great. He didn't criticize one of our sponsors. This is just awesome. It's just
I
a
gotta go
real.
after Keegan. I gotta go after Keegan now. But Keegan was very, very nice to me. Keegan was very, very nice. So I'll be very nice back.
Matt, Judge, you have anything you want to say? I know judges have to be very careful on
I
everything.
didn't get
they
to
say.
ask your question. I feel bad now.
No, go ahead. Ask
Ended
if
it with
you- if-
Scotland. That's a good way to end it. So maybe you can edit it back in. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a fellow fiscal conservative, Rob, I feel that pain. Although I take it with a grain of salt when it's coming from a Democrat. There is a party for you now. It's the American Party, and you can join Elon if you're if that's your thing. That being said, I mean the Democrat Party is the party of government. Is there a limiting principle in the powers of government, but two in when is enough enough? How much is enough?
Well, that's a great question, and yes, there are limits to it. And the only things I'll point out, I'll start and I'll try to be as brief as I can because I know it's a Monday night, it's a school night. It's not a school night. I don't have children. I don't know. There's no school night. But I'll say this. Up through 1981, the end of Jimmy Carter, the entire cumulative national debt of the United States was around 985 billion, so less than $1 trillion. Since Jimmy Carter left office, the national debt today, I think it's at 37 trillion, 37 plus, give or take. So that $36 trillion increase has occurred in, I'm assuming, all or most of our lifetimes. I was born in 1984. And it's bipartisan. When you really look at what was added over that time period, there's a little more Republican debt than Democratic debt, But other than Bill
If you're
Clinton,
measuring by what, presidents?
yeah, if you major
Yeah.
by presidency,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for any of them to claim to be fiscally responsible when you look at those numbers and that accumulation. I think in my lifetime, Bill Clinton was probably the closest thing to it. I know
With the Republican
Matt's,
Congress.
yeah, you just gave Matt's response that I fed you that.
Yeah. You might,
But isn't
I'm
that,
sure John
but isn't
Kasich's your
that,
guy, right?
but isn't that the
Being-
point? But isn't that the point?
Congress
When
isn't doing its
faced-
job, whether it's Republican or Democrat.
Right.
We don't haven't had a budget since in the end of the 90s.
Correct. But when faced with the reality that the American people chose a Republican Congress, Bill Clinton triangulated and worked with them. That's what a leader should do. It's what we've not really seen since, with the exception of a couple
W.
deals of W, and then Obama's deal
For bad things, I will note though.
and Obama's deal with John Boehner that cost John Boehner his speakership, but saw the deficit shrink after that deal. Now, the only other thing I would touch on this is that, look, yes, there is a philosophical difference that Democrats, at least in rhetoric, believe that government can be a source of good. I believe that government can be a source of good. I also believe there are limits on that. Republicans in rhetoric think, to quote Grover Norquist, should be dragged into a bathtub and drowned. All government is bad.
That's a
It's always
misquote,
the
but
enemy.
it's good enough.
All government is bad. There was involved dragging it into a bathtub and drowning it. Is that not correct? We're getting
Should be
into
small
semantics.
enough to drown in the
Don't let the
bathtub.
facts get in the way
Yeah,
of a good story,
yeah.
Oh,
Rob.
it had to be small enough to put in the bathtub and drown. I'll-
It was
I'll-
closer
I'll
anyway.
cor-
Closer to that.
I'll take my mulligan there. Okay. But that's the rhetoric. The reality is
My point is that
The
I
reality is-
agree with you on that. The Republicans do it against their own principles. That's my point. What are the principles of the Democrat Party that would limit any of that?
well, no, I don't think that's true. I would say that first and foremost, it's only waste, fraud, and abuse today if it's something you disagree with. And it's only socialism if it's something you disagree with. All government in one form or another is a collective redistribution of resources, whether that is taking revenue and putting it into a foreign war or a military program, or whether it is providing SNAP benefits to poor folks in Brooklyn or in Tulsa or in rural Steubenville, Ohio. The question in the debate has always been not whether we get rid of government, but how much. How much is acceptable and what works? My definition would be, are we helping the least among us? Are we helping people move up the ladder? Are we getting a return on the investment? But we get into these apocalyptic debates with, if you pass this bill, it's the end of capitalism as we know it and the beginning of socialism. If we do this, it's going to kill every grandma and every poor person on the street if you cut that program. And it's all these apocalyptic things. But when you take it over our lifespan, and I think we've all been born since 1980, I don't know. The tax code that we've operated on in our entire lifetimes is Ronald Reagan's tax code. And we've been operating under a tax code where the top marginal rates have been between 33 and 38%, roughly, our entire lifetimes. Anybody with half a brain, business sense, looking at our problems can tell you a couple things. We have an inefficient Swiss cheese tax code that brings in less and less revenue based upon economic growth. And we have entitlement programs that are growing at unprecedented pace. Your president, my president now too, says he's not going to touch those. So he's going to let the unchecked pace of growth and the debt continue while cutting taxes and increasing spending on the issues that he and you think are priority 1A and B. He won the election, he gets to do that. But the national debt, by the time he leaves office, will hit 45 trillion, and Donald Trump's 8 years in office will be responsible for 38% of the entire national debt. And Elon Musk realizes that now. Elon Musk realizes what I've been saying on here all year, which is if you want to make big changes in immigration or the debt spending, you got to have Congress pass laws. Republicans, even with narrow majorities, control the House and the Senate and the presidency and the Supreme Court and a majority of governorships, I think, for now. Just wait, this ends badly. So you've got your chance to be fiscally conservative and put my money where your mouth is. And you're not.
Rob, why is it that it seems like no party can even come close to, getting this budget? I mean, if you look back, I think it was Obama was probably adding, 500 billion a year. Then the next president, Trump was 800 billion a year. Biden was, 1.9 trillion average. Now Trump on his last year, obviously it went up to over 3 billion because of COVID. But when COVID was done,
Trillion.
Biden still averaged, 1.9-ish, I believe, a year added. And yeah, and I'm a little disappointed. I thought Trump would go harder to try to do something here because the projections are, it's going to go out of whack. And, I'm not a political person that much. I'm a business entrepreneur. I've had real estate businesses. I've had technology, lifestyle businesses. You know, I I did our QuickBooks for some of our companies, and we have big accounting firms and whatnot. And to me, it just seems so simple. But it's like, how can we not get this? I mean, it is just it drives
Well,
me.
you'll if you come on the campaigns with most of the guys on this call, and I've walked congressional campaigns and districts with Republican candidates I've worked with and Democratic candidates. And the voters you meet, all well-intentioned, good people. And you'll find that, believe it or not, when it comes down to the bread and butter issues, they all tell you the same thing if you're a politician. They want to get rid of the waste that other guy down the street is benefiting from, but don't you dare cut the programs I rely on. They want to pay less taxes, but go tax that asshole down the street. Raise the taxes on the millionaire or billionaire, or raise the tax on the taker, on the moocher, the guy that's not paying any federal income tax because he's making less than $27,000 a year, I might add. But the voter tells the politician, I want more stuff. I want him to get less stuff, and I want to pay less for the more stuff I'm getting. And the politicians in both parties have listened to it. And they have made the tough decisions. Because the bottom line is, you'll say, well, why are you talking about tax increases? I'm saying, well, no. There's two sides of the ledger, right? So it's the people's money. You're right about that. But it's also the people's debt. And we're spending over $1 trillion a year to service the debt that both parties have put in our laps. And so just to stabilize the growth of our debt, we need to cut trillions in spending, and we need more revenue.
Right.
It's
And if
not
we don't
once.
do it soon, I mean, what this is.
And both parties have taken one side or more of that ledger off the table. Democrats have taken entitlements off the table. And now Republicans have taken entitlements off the table because they know it's politically unpopular. And Democrats at least are willing to put revenue on the table, where Republicans now define any increase in even closing a loophole as raising a tax. So we're in a dangerous situation where we can't get both parties to the table to, one, agree on the size and scope of the problem, two, come up with a mutual goal, just as we talked about earlier, or three, find any agreeable path to lower spending or find more revenue just to stabilize where we are. I'm not talking about new spending. I'm
Right.
talking about substantial trillions in cuts. But everybody that gets a new tax credit or gets a new benefit is really good at defending it, at making sure it's never taken away. But we're at the point coming up where, unless our two sides can have a civil conversation, the bond markets are going to sort this out for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm and that's an area of agreement. I mean, we've agreed on this before. These things all have to be on the table, and long term, we have to come to a situation where we balance the budget again, and it should be a constitutional amendment. I think it's crazy that we've never made it such, and that to me is something that both parties should be able to agree on, but don't.
I'll say this.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I spend a lot of time with elected Republicans in DC. I helped co-host a fundraiser for one today. So I've had a chance to have private conversations on a lot of these issues. They're not stupid. Just as if you had the same opportunity to have talks with elected senators, one of whom we'll have on the show soon. They get it. They know the math. They're not dumb. But there's a difference between the conversation they have with me with a glass of whiskey at my townhouse or on the golf course and what they'll go on Fox News or MSNBC and say, because they know their biggest threat is their primary.
Yeah.
Like,
period.
Most of
I think that is the root of all the issues, is that a lot of people don't vote, and even less people don't vote in primaries, or even less people vote in primaries. And so, Anthony, you've seen this in Oklahoma. I mean, we have some legitimately batshit crazy people that get elected by 10% of the electorate. That's a problem, right? Because then they govern, and that's not what our party stands for. Rob, we need to wind this up, but I want to say this. I appreciate you taking the questions. I think your answers were thoughtful. While I don't agree with everything you said, obviously, you always come prepared. You bring it. And I will say this. I think we all on the Republican team can rest easy that you're not on the ballot, and it's probably going to be people like AOC or Jasmine Crockett or Mamdani that will be the nominee of the Democrat Party in 2028. So I think we will stay in power. And look, you're not wrong. I mean, there are some. It's tough sledding in Democrat primaries these days, and I'll have to say, in some Republican areas, the Republican primaries can be tough too. But I do think these conversations are helpful. I do think there's a lot of areas of agreement. I think there's areas of disagreement too. But I think you summed it up with the Philadelphia Eagles analogy. We can't continue to be we can't be the Republicans versus the Democrats on everything. At some point, sane, rational people are going to have to come together and fix this debt problem. It just can't continue forever.
So my closing remark is, one, thank you for putting the Golf and Politics Cup together. It's your brainchild. I'm obviously all in and support it. But this event would not be happening without your planning and hard work. So, and in gesture of bipartisanship, it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's because you put a lot of work into it. So I think I picked the guys on my team similarly to you, less because of loyalty oaths and less because of their, skill on the course. Some of them are great golfers. Some of them are hit and giggle, get drunk and have fun golfers. But I picked them because they're good people. And I think you picked good people. And I think everyone's going to get along. And my favorite thing that, we've talked about this with MG Cup, my tournament, is throughout the year when people that met each other during the tournament send me a selfie from some golf course. They happen to be in town and said, "Hey, I'm in town. let's get together and play golf. And they send me a selfie. Well, I wish I would have been invited and could be there. It's always nice to see good people become friends and to play golf together, because as we get older, um, those boys trips become that much more important. And having friends who are nothing against our significant others, but having friends that are independent of just work or your marriage or your relationship, it's healthy. We all need it. We all need to spend more time with close friends, make new friends, play more golf, travel more. So I salute you
Thanks, sir. I
for
salute you
the
too.
golf
I
politics.
mean, this has been a great partnership, and I love what we're doing, and the best is yet to come. I also want to salute Captain Keegan Barayan for being the platinum sponsor of this event. Huge shout out to you, Keegan. I mean, this honestly,
Keegan.
you really helped us in a huge way. And we have a lot of great sponsors. We've got platinum sponsor, 2 gold sponsors, 4 silver sponsors. Without all of them, this wouldn't happen. And we look forward to doing great activation for our sponsors on future programs. And we are just going to have a blast in Nebraska. That golf course just looks amazing. I've been watching these YouTube videos and can't wait. So, guys, thank you for doing this. Thank you to our audience for listening. And we'll keep bringing you great content. Have a great night.